Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Star Wars Wednesday from the Toybox edition. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with Star Wars The Black Series Rebels re-release of Sabine Wren. Let's get into it! Let's take a look at the figure and the accessories, and here we have handy dandy tweezers. So we'll start off with the accessories, and here is her paint sprayer or colorizer, or I'm not sure exactly what name it officially has within the Star Wars universe, but there you can see it does have selector buttons on it for different colors, the spray nozzle, the activation switch, and then just a line on the other side. So I would say that's reasonably accurate to the show. And she does have this set of Mandalorian pistols, and you can see it's got a little bit of a dry brush on it to give it a bit of a worn look. So that's a pretty cool little detail. And then finally we have her helmet, which it does have nice molded details and it does have nice coloring on it. However, it is actually too small for Sabine to wear. And it also has some articulation here. The viewfinder does raise up and down, and it will go backwards too if you need it to do that for some reason. Now let's take a look at the figure herself. And of course, this is the re-release with the new face paint technology. Or it was new at the time, the face printing technology. So yeah, to say, it looks pretty good. I can't really compare it to the previous version because I don't have that one. That's why I have the second edition. I missed out the first one. And you can see it looks like there's a little bit of shading around the eyes. And then, you know, some nice color there in the hair, Sabine is wont to do. And then, you know, nice designs all over her armor. Tampos, I would guess. And then, you know, a lot of splatter here on her shin. Or, well, it's her boots. It's not really her shin armor, is it? She has knee plates, and it's got a little bit of dry brushing around the edges of it. Just kind of give it a worn look. And even on the armor here. And then paint splatter on her gloves as well. So overall, I have to say the paint apps on this one are really nice. And probably the best out of the wave, or the best out of the Rebels crew, because I don't think they all came in the same way. Of course, we know Zev didn't, because he was later on when these newer versions were released. Well, let's take a look at her articulation. She can look up that far, which would be cool if she had a backpack, a jetpack. And you can see it's on that standard ball and hinge. She looks down that far. She's got a little bit of chicken neck, some waggle, 360 degree rotation, or the full Exorcist at the neck, or at the top of the neck. The head spins around anyway. So here, this armor piece is glued on. So it does bend some when you raise her arm up, and it gives you approximately 90-degree bend there. 360-degree rotation, and nothing at the bicep. She does have single hinge and swivel at the elbow. Swivels around 360 degrees and gives you a bit better than 90-degree bend. At the wrist, 360-degree rotation on an in and out hinge and up and down hinge on the other side, and it spins 360 degrees as well. Cut here where the chest and the abdomen meet, and it gives her some hula. She can lean to the sides, she can bend forward that far and back that far. Also 360-degree rotation there because there's nothing at the waist. And a couple of paint apps here on the belt, silver paint apps. And one thing about these holsters is the way they're molded. They're molded to kind of stand out like that rather than lay flat, because when you try to lay them flat, they're kind of puckered. So I don't know, maybe some heat can fix that. I hadn't worried about it this long, so I may just leave it like it is and not worry about it. At the hips, that's pretty stiff. She can give you that much of the splits. She kicks forward that far and back that far, so that's actually pretty good. Cut here at the upper thigh for a full 360-degree rotation. Double hinged, pinned knee, and it gives you that much bend. And then at the ankle, tilts down that far, tilts up that far, just slightly. This armor piece kind of gets in the way a bit. And then forward facing pin for rocker. Now as far as her accessories goes, the pistols will of course fit into the holsters. She has no storage for her spray painter, so I just put it in her hand. And then of course let's take a look at the helmet. Now as far as the helmet goes, you can force it on, but it does stretch it. So she can wear it. It doesn't look great because you can actually see her nose and stuff. And pushing really hard, that's as far as I can get it right there. Now I could probably heat it up and get it on there, and then, but I'm afraid it would get stuck. I have gotten it on there before, but like I said, you know, where her nose is and where it is in the helmet, it really pokes out. So as far as her helmet goes, I don't really make her wear it. I just kind of make her hold on to it. So I would like them to update this particular figure with a better helmet, and I wish they'd have done that with this release of her, but it was just a repaint to add the better decos to it. That, my friends, does it for a look at the figure and her accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have what I like to think of as the main cast of Rebels All Black series. We have Chopper, Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Hera Syndulla, Kanan Jarrus, Zeb Orrelios, and Ahsoka. For our final set of comparisons, here we have Star Wars The Black Series, Rebels, Sabine Wren, with from the Marvel Legends series, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee, from the G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. Our final Black Series comparison, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, And for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on Star Wars The Black Series Rebels Sabine Wren, the reissue, I have to say, I like this figure. The look of it is pretty good. There's just something about the hair that I feel like is not quite right. But as far as the rest of the paint apps on this figure, they are immaculate. Especially the designs on the armor and whatnot. The one thing that I wish they had fixed with this figure over the original release is I wish they'd have made it where she could actually wear the helmet, or given her a secondary head that was just the helmet, rather than this bucket she can basically just carry around. Now you can force it on her head. It doesn't fit very well. It stretches out. Her nose pokes out. I mean, you can see it makes a bump in the helmet, and you can see it. And it's just not great. I really don't like the fact that they made the helmet too small. And if it was a fact of they had to make the helmet that size to make it look right, then they should have went ahead and just made it a separate head rather than a helmet. But if wishes were horses, we'd all be riding horses, right? But as it stands, other than that, you know, this figure is great. The paint on it, I mean, it's just fantastic. All the little armor bits and stuff where she painted them up is just, it's great. And I don't really know how this compares with the original figure, but with it being a more human looking figure, they generally look worse than the aliens do, if that makes sense. But as with most of the Black Series, you know, except for some of those very early figures, you know, the sculpt is great, and a lot of times what really hinders it is the paint. And maybe they fix that now, except for Luke Skywalker, who I don't think Hasbro will ever get right. But that's another thing altogether. But this one is a good figure, and she doesn't beat Zeb out. Well, maybe the paint apps she has beat Zeb out, but overall, I still think Zeb is the standout figure of the Rebels crew. Well, that does it for the review. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews or just help the channel out further. Or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's our wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.